Good morning, afternoon, or evening to you, wherever you may be. My name is Toby Green, and this podcast is JFK 50 Beyond, in which I try to explore aspects of the JFK killing to try and take a fresh perspective as to what happened in the assassination of John Kennedy and the way that this assassination still impacts our world. This is episode 0, your orientation to this series. The episode is titled, We Didn't Start the Fire. I love the recent Netflix show, The Umbrella Academy. It was the X-Men with heart, and it was bizarre. There was a scene that has played out in many TV shows, and it's almost stereotypical at this point, or cliched. In the scene in the Umbrella Academy, one of the characters was tasked with being the alleged Grassy Knoll shooter in the assassination of John Fitzgerald Kennedy, who we will refer to as JFK. Now, it's important to understand that it's been almost 56 years since this assassination took place. And this show and the comic book that it's based on were created many years after, with the original writers in no way, shape, or form having any memory of the JFK assassination because they were born later. It's fascinating to me the continued impact that the JFK assassination has on us today. And I would actually submit that the assassination is far more profound than what it's being given or attributed to. We think of assassinations now, or the JFK assassination, as conspiracy theories. And that term is derogatory. So it's with that stated that I want to be clear that this podcast series is not necessarily focused on who shot JFK. The problem with trying to prove a particular person did this or did that is that the investigation and the evidence on this matter has, aside from prosecutor Jim Garrison's legal attempts, never been tested in a court of law. This is a really big problem in the JFK assassination. For instance, imagine if OJ Simpson, who was who was in the widely covered criminal case media spectacle, had vanished from Earth after the car chase. The evidence looked damning in that case. OJ had disguise, he had money, he was threatening self-harm in the back seat of the car. It's widely documented about what happened next in the OJ case. He was turned over to the authorities, and a lengthy trial took place in which every piece of evidence was challenged by his defense team to the point that the jury could not convict OJ beyond a reasonable doubt. The point I'm making here is that when Jack Ruby killed Lee Harvey Oswald, not only was Oswald robbed of being able to defend himself against a crime that, it must be noted, he has never admitted to, but the federal government never had to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Lee Harvey Oswald shot JFK, and that, in fact, Oswald acted alone. But this is the fascination of the JFK shooting 56 years plus. There are over 200 potential suspects. The CIA, the Mafia, the Russians, the Cubans, the Vice President, the Dallas Police Force, you name it, everyone has been accused. On top of this, as if this wasn't enough, we have 2 contradictory government reports. The Warren Commission report and the House Committee on Assassinations report. One saying definitively that Oswald acted alone, and one saying definitively that he was part of likely a conspiracy. So this podcast series is not aimed at finding the smoking gun. This podcast series is aimed at 3 phases of the JFK story. The first attempts to investigate what the conditions were in which someone would want to kill the president. This simply isn't an exploration of this person hated Jack Kennedy, so therefore we want him dead. Rather, is a look at what drove the Kennedy family to push John Kennedy to become president. What resistance there was, and crucially, what the resistance was to Kennedy at the highest levels of government. We're going to take you on a journey to Dallas. This journey will include Kennedy's election victory and the 1,000 or so days leading up to the assassination. And we're going to examine that timeline of events. From there, we will pretend that Oswald didn't die and evaluate the strength of the evidence against Lee Harvey Oswald. Does what we know meet the standard of beyond a reasonable doubt? In the event, and let me be upfront, likelihood that Oswald could not be convicted on the evidence as it stands, the theorizing begins about whether it is reasonable to conclude his involvement and who would have aided him. We close out the podcast series by looking at the continued impact of the JFK assassination 55 years plus later. So thank you, and I hope that you will enjoy this podcast.